Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is session 4. Session 4. I want to be real clear that, first of all, I want to thank everybody who has done session 1, 2, and 3. I want to say to you that you're halfway to the miracle. And you are that 1 in 10,000. That 1 in 10,000. Welcome again to session 4 of the Talitha Kum workshop. In the beginning, we talked about choosing one incident. All of us have incidents in our lives that we would like to examine. And that little child in us would like to talk about those things. And that child needs to. But for this particular exercise, try to remember that we're teaching a technique. And once you learn that technique, you can use it over and over again. In fact, it is a technique that you will find useful for the rest of your life. But let's learn the technique first. The way we learn the technique is by taking one incident and taking that incident all the way to the finish line. And once we've done it with one incident, we can just repeat that. Once you've taken it through, then you have learned the technique. Again, this is a Talitha Kum workshop. What we're going to do in session 4 is, I think everyone has a white candle and a red candle. And what we're going to do to open session 4 is we're going to light the white candle. Now, I don't know if I've said this to you before. I know that it's in the workbook. I know that most of you have that workbook. But because this is the first time that we've done it online, when we do it in person, I know that I've handed everybody a workbook. But when we do it online, I want to try to say to you, download that workbook or have that workbook someplace comfortable so that you can refer to it. When I do the videos, oftentimes I'm talking about things that have come up in session 1, 2, and 3 that need to be addressed. And these are things that come up with individuals. And these are things that may not be covered in the workbook. But if you see me deviating, follow the workbook. One of the things that I always say is, in your home or wherever you are doing this work, find a quiet spot. I call it your safe spot. Find a spot that you can be comfortable in writing and not be interrupted. And do I even need to say, turn off your cell phone? Turn off the television. If you have small children, wait until they go to bed. You know, if you have a spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, let them know that you need that 1 hour and you need to be uninterrupted. So just in case the phone rings and it's you know, they know that he'll get back to you within an hour. Okay, but find a safe spot, find a comfortable spot, and a quiet spot, because you're going to spend quality time with that little boy or little girl. It's very important. When you light this candle, you're lighting first the white candle. Okay? Notice that I have lit the white candle. This white candle represents the little boy or little girl. White is for innocence. At no point in time should that child be made to feel that somehow they are responsible for a particular incident. They were children. If that child was sexually abused, he was a child. If that little girl was verbally abused, she was a child. Bullying, these are children that we're talking about here. So be very careful with this white candle. When this white candle is, we're going to blow it out at the end of each session. Keep it in your possession and keep it safe. This candle represents that child. Session 3 and Session 4 can sometimes be very rough for people involved in the workshop. And this is where we sometimes get people who fall by the wayside. I want to caution you about fear. I want to caution you and almost beg you not to give up. I never said this would be easy. It's not. But I have said to you, and I will say it again, it's worth it. Some people begin to get benefits very early. And when they start getting these benefits, their life starts getting crowded. And one of the things they do is crowd out that little boy or little girl. No. Do not ignore the little boy and little girl. Let them grow up. When you begin talking to them, if they're 7 years old and you're 37, that little boy, that little girl begins to grow up, You don't want to stop that growth. Let that growth continue until the two of you are whole. You have found the black box. Open the black box and let the black box tell the story. The only thing to fear is fear itself. So if you encounter fear, we're here. Shoot me an email. Pray. Get over the fear. Get past the fear. And you will run into fear. Get past it. Live through it. The other thing that's very useful is now that you have established a relationship with that little boy or little girl, talk about the fear. Ask them about the fear. Have them talk you through the fear. That little boy or little girl is now your very best friend, your very best advocate. That little boy or little girl has your back and has your best interest in mind. So ask them, what are you afraid of? How do we get through this? And you'll be surprised at how creative that little boy or little girl can be in a situation like that. Light the candle and let the candle remain lit. What you as the adult want to do is to assure that child that he or she is safe. And you don't want to proceed until they are ready. So you're going to ask them, are you ready to do this? Because see, now we are going to name the perpetrator. That incident that we have been looking at, that we've allowed the little child to talk about, there was an adult involved. And we are going to give that adult a name. It may be difficult for that little child to name a name if the child does not feel safe. So it is your job to make sure that that child feels safe to give you that information. Now remember, it's only you and the little child talking about it. Nobody at this point has suggested that you go outside and do anything. Everything is taking place in your quiet spot, your safe spot. So this is a conversation between you and the child. When that child is ready to proceed, when that child says, yeah, I feel comfortable, yeah, I feel safe, yeah, I can do this, let them know that you are there and you will support them 100%. Under no circumstances will you walk away from that child. Okay, so now, before we name the perpetrator, we're going to light the red candle. Why do we choose red? Well, we choose red because red is danger. A person, place, or thing Because it could be an institution, but a person who has abused you in the past will very likely abuse you again if you let them. If you let them. But once you know, and once the child knows, and once the two of you agree that that behavior was unacceptable, then the other part of that agreement is it will not happen again. Why? Because now you're old enough to take responsibility. And you do better when you know better. So the important thing about session 4 is that we are going to name the perpetrator, and we're going to give the activity a name. We're going to call it exactly what it was. If it was abandonment, we'll call it abandonment. If it was incest, we'll call it incest. If it was sexual abuse, we will call it sexual abuse. If it was spiritual abuse, we're going to call it exactly what it is. We're not going to make it pretty, and we definitely are not going to justify it or make excuses for it. That's not the point. The point is to name it and to name the perpetrator. That's all. That seems so simple, yet this is the part where many people choke up. This is the place where many people decide to walk away. And they can find some very, I want to say good excuses, but they can find excuses to walk away. All of a sudden they don't have time. All of a sudden they don't need this anymore. All of a sudden there are 1,000 reasons. But you know what it is? Oftentimes, victims become perpetrators. Victims become their own worst enemy because they do exactly to themselves what was done unto them. I mean, we have a real high suicide rate. There's a real high rate of depression, real high rate of anxiety. And all of this is the person doing to themselves what was done to them. When you don't take care of yourself, you are abandoning yourself. When you have been given the opportunity to take these tools and rescue that little boy or little girl, help that little boy or little girl to grow up. When you turn your back, you're doing exactly to the child what was done to you. The difference is those people who did it to you maybe didn't know any better. If you have come this far in the workshop, then you know better. You are responsible. As I said, this is the turning point. This is the beginning point of that miracle. Let the miracle happen. Know that I'm here for you, but there's a bigger thing that I want you to know. One of the things that God has said to me, Nelson, I walked with you for the entire journey. But for this part of the journey, from session 4 to session 6, not only will I walk with you, but I will carry the heavy stuff. Remember that. God has said, I will carry the heavy stuff. So when that fear comes in, when that desire to walk away comes in, when you're feeling challenged, remember, God said, I will carry the heavy stuff. So my thing to you is just simply say these words. Nelson, let go and let God. Let go and let God. You're halfway through, start working. This is session 4. Light that white candle. When you're finished, blow out the white candle and then blow out the red candle. You are now prepared to take that red candle and throw it away. You have released yourself of that burden. Take that white candle, treat it well, take it with you, keep it safe, because we will use it again. Thank you so much for sticking with me.